Hey, everybody. We're before class starts, so just letting you all in and welcoming you. We'll be getting started in a few minutes. I want to let everyone know I'm recording this session because there are a lot of people who want to be here and can't, so we can share it with them. So if you want to change your name to just your first name or, whatever feels comfortable for you, I just want to give you that info. Great to see everyone. We're gonna get started now because we're at 12:04 and I really want to be able to jump in and have an experience together today. So we're going to actually practice self-compassion and what that means. And I would love for you to, yeah, I'm really excited for you to have an experience of self-compassion and to talk about the intersection of self-compassion and being quirky alone, because it isn't a conversation that we often get to have. And in my experience of being a life coach for 13 years now, supporting people who gravitate toward, aspire to being quirky alone, I really am convinced this is the key to peace, let's say, whether you are single or in a relationship. And so, or whatever the circumstances. So, okay, as you all know, I think this event is part of the January celebration of the publication of Quirkyalones' 20th anniversary. And it's been really nice that people have said, congratulations on the 20th anniversary of the book. But I was really thinking this morning, it's not just about the book, it's about the people. It's about this Quirky Alone movement that was actually created, and I was sort of joking about it in a way when I was writing, like the Quirky Alone movement, but it actually turned into a real thing where, there were Quirky Alone forums for a while where people met their best friends, and there have been so many Quirky Alone events and activities, and mostly conversation, I would say, with people using the language and feeling validated by it and having a different conversation. So that's also what I want to celebrate. But yeah, it's a big deal. It's like it's in the dictionary. So it's cool, and I'm a person who likes to take the chance to celebrate, what is there in life. I think it makes life better, part of turned on living. So thank you for being part of this. And when I thought about what is the class that I would like to offer, I really thought self-compassion is the key. And I saw that in the Turned On Living group that I ran last year, and I've seen it in all my clients that, developing a kinder, gentler, softer voice with yourself is sort of the platform to enable everything else. So I thought, like, if there's a way I would like to be of service to people, I want to share self-compassion with them. Okay. So I'm going to just give a little bit of an introduction about myself because some of you know me to some extent and others aren't know me to another extent. So I'm the author of this book, Quirky Alone Manifesto for Uncompromising Romantics. We have the paperback version here too. This book came out, as we said, 20 years ago, and I've been working as a life and executive coach in this world of personal development with a focus on women, and it just happens quirky alone people for the last 13 years, one-on-one and in group programs. I also love tango. I ran a tango adventure in Buenos Aires for 6 years, combining tango and personal growth and really even the deep concepts that we're talking about today of self-worth. And I'm working on a memoir called Wet. And if you are on my newsletter list, you've been hearing about this for many years. And if you're wondering when it's coming out, well, you're not the only one, because it's a long journey writing a memoir. So this year, I'm going to be focused on that and hopefully bringing that to you soon. And Turned On Living, the program I created, sort of takes a lot of the insights that are in Wet and creates a group experience around them. And self-compassion is a really big part of that. So, okay, I think now before we jump into what we're doing, I think it would be really nice to just hear everyone's voice, just for everybody to come present in the room. So if you want to just say like, hi, my name is, just quickly, I would love to hear. So I'm going to call a first person and then I'm going to have you tag the next person. Okay, so everyone get this game, what we're doing. Okay, so first person, Rex.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ken. Rex is a nickname I've been using for a long time. I didn't get called out in the kind of like small greeting of where you ever were from, but I wrote that I was from Stockholm, Sweden. So, and I'm curious about this meeting. I got introduced by a friend, so I'm kind of not very knowledgeable about the community. So I'm just kind of joining to see what's happening. And I'm gonna call out Laurie.
Hello, I'm from calling from Los Angeles, and I'm writing a memoir, and the character is a quirky alone. So I can relate to the long journey of writing a memoir that you're going through, Sasha, and so it's a romantic memoir, and so that's why I'm here to sort of see what other quirky alones look like, since I have never met any.
You want to call the next person?
Steph, please. Steph.
Hi, I'm Steph with an F. It doesn't look like there's any PHs in here, so I think it's me. Thanks, Lori. So I'm based in New York in the suburbs in Westchester County. And actually, I'm just realizing, Sasha, I know about you because of the word quirky and from the Living Quirky community in New York many years ago. But I had your to-do list book, and I actually don't think I ever read the Quirky Alone book. So if you could just summarize what a quirky alone is, that'd be great. I'm just very attracted to the word quirky, but I'm realizing I got to read the book. So here I am. Thank you.
Good request. We'll do that after everyone introduces themselves. Okay, you want to choose the next person?
Oh, yes. Okay. Chris with 2 S's and a K.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris from Portland, Oregon. I'm just thrilled to be here. It was a little bit difficult for me to turn on the video today, having that sensitive feel on a Sunday, but I'm glad I did it. So it's good to be here. And I'm going to call on Idera. Did I get it right, Idera?
Yeah. Hello, my name is Idera. I am newly based in Chicago, Illinois, attorney, energy healer, and like Steph, I've always loved the word quirky. It is my fondest wish to become more and more quirky as time goes on. And what I haven't read the book Quirky Alone, but what the articles I've read about it, I really do resonate with the tenets of it. So I wanted to, see what a group discussion or about this concept is all about. Oh, yeah. Let's see. I will call out Katie.
Is this working? I don't really know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, you can. I'm useless with any of this sort of thing, so this makes me quite scared. I live in Somerset in near Bath in England, and I read your book ages ago, and then your email popped up, and I thought, gosh, I'm so excited about this. This is fantastic, and it's good to hear from you again. And yes, I'm really looking forward to today. So thank you. Where are we? I don't really know how to do this. What about Karen? Karen, have you spoken? Karen S.
Hi, everyone. I'm getting over a cold, so forgive me. I'm going to have to mute it occasionally because of a cough, but I'm new to the Quirkyalone community. As I mentioned in my little introduction, I'm going to be part of the upcoming Quirkyalone group, which I'm really looking forward to. And kind of hate that we have to wait so many months because I'm ready to do this. I think it was Steph, I'm in Rockland County, right across the river from you. So I'm waving. Thanks, everyone. And I'll call Adam.
Good morning. I came across Quirky Alone with, I think it came through a news feed or some article online and read through it. And it was like, my peeps. All of a sudden, I made sense. And I interacted with other organizations, Cuddle Party, which is something I'm really involved with, which is a great inner way of connecting if you're a Quirky alone, and which is celebrating 20 years this year as well. So it's interesting the two were born together at the same time. And I'm also very active in the polyamorous community, which again fits very nicely for somebody who's quirky alone, who's just as happy to stay home or go out. I'm really excited to be here. I was sorry that I missed the last one. And I would like to call on Meg. Maybe Meg's not there. How about Craig?
Okay, good call.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was having technical issues, so I had to kind of switch where I was. But I came across Quirky Alone because actually just a few years ago, I was reading Bella DePaulo's work on singles, and while I really related to it, she had a list of other like singles books that she recommended, and so I came across Quirky Alone, and I really, that for me, of all the books, I read probably about 20 books on single, and I think Quirky Alone is the one that I relate to the most. It just is the one that really resonated most with me. So I'm very excited to be here today. And I'm not sure, because I joined late, I'm not sure who's went yet, so I'm not sure who can go next.
I'll help you out. I'll call on Oswald.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here in Queens in New York City. I came across Quirky Alone. It was back in college, like on one particular day in between classes, I visited the former Strand Books Annex on Fulton Street. I was rummaging through the shelves, and I just happened to come across Sasha's book. For no rhyme or reason, I just happened to come across it. I took a quick glance at it and without even blinking, batting an eye, I bought the book. I guess they must have seen it like in a world where it's like the whole like relationships and marriages, like the be all end all of the world. I felt like, okay, that Quirky Alone spoke to me somehow. And
beautiful. So I think I'm gonna call on, I love hearing from everyone, and I'm wanting to balance time. I wonder, like, are people available to stay a little bit more than an hour? Because I didn't really know. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I love giving this space for these check-ins. It's so cool to hear everybody. And I just want to make sure we have time. So I think, like, let's say the amended schedule is the self-compassion class will go to 1:15 ET or whatever, adjust for where you are. And then after that, for 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about turned on living, because those things are really connected. And if you're curious, you can stay on, and that'll go like till 1:30. Okay, let's keep going. And Thea.
Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, cool. So I'm Anthea. I'm in England, in Sheffield, and Sasha and I know each other, or have known each other since maybe 2019 or 2017, because we met in Buenos Aires. We're both tango dancers, and yeah, I resonate with Quirky Alone and with Sasha because she's great, and I'm just interested to hear and meet fellow Quirkies. And that's it. So hi, everyone.
I think you two may not know who hasn't gone, so I will choose another person. Rainbow.
Aloha, hi. Let's see. So I am normally in Honolulu and currently in the East Bay, waking up because it's 6 a.m. In Hawaii or 7 a.m. We don't do daylight saving. So I met Sasha years ago, and I just remember being like, I like her. And then over the years, I've seen things, and I'm like, I have lived this Quirky Alone life, even though I don't totally name it, claim it in that way, doing alternative co-parenting, and also, kind of floating between monogamy, non-monogamy, and also love blending dance with transformation, like with cuddles and blues. Adam spoke about cuddle parties, and so blended that with blues dancing, and I've just really enjoyed living life, as I say with my clients, awesomely and authentically alive, and just excited to be here. So thank you.
Mm. Okay, I think Franny.
Hi, I'm Franny and I'm in the Boston area. I'm staying off camera because I am kind of sick today and not very presentable. But I was very excited to kind of join a group and learn kind of more about self-compassion in relationships, which is kind of a big and interesting topic for me right now. So I'm just, glad to be here and kind of hanging in there.
Beautiful. So, okay, I think we have a few more people. Tina.
Hey, I'm from Germany, Berlin, and I read your book 2009, and it felt kind of liberating that there are different possibilities for me, and that is everything's okay with me. I'm also following your newsletter, and to read about tango and also pussy walking was really nice to just try it out and to feel myself or something. And I'm excited to be here.
Love it. Love it. Paula.
Hi, can everyone see me?
No, we don't.
I don't know how to turn on the camera. Yeah, I'm a bit of a old school person over here, but anyway, I'll figure that out for the next time. So I am in this meeting from the northwest corner of Connecticut. I've known Sasha since nursery school, actually. I had the pleasure of meeting her, and she's my oldest friend. We lost touch for a few years when Sasha was globetrotting and I was home raising 4 kids and homeschooling, but we've reconnected in the past, what has it been, like 10 years? We reconnected, and I've always been following Sasha, and I think the reason why is she's so curious that it makes it very compelling to read and to think about the things Sasha is reading and thinking about and doing in the world. She's always inspired me. And recently, I think becoming friends again, we've inspired each other. And I really like the idea of the opposite of fear is curiosity and creativity. And self-compassion is really the key to that, because you can't really be in those two stages at the same time. You can't be in a fear state and be creative and curious. So, self-compassion, I think, is a vital key to unlocking that side of you. And I'm really excited to be here. And I wish I could figure out the camera. I'm on a brand new iPad. I'm used to my old stuff. So
Okay, well, we'll check in with
thank
you
you.
about it, Paula, because you have a key contribution, which is Little Buddy.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So
Okay,
amazing
thank you.
to have Paula here. We literally met when we were 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Like dollhouses and makeup with each other. So it's
Okay.
incredible.
All right, well, I'll figure this out, but I will be listening.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, we have a few people unless, so let's have it be like about a minute each person, because everyone is so amazing. So Candace.
Hi, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on my iPhone, so I'm not very fluent with Zoom on my phone. So, okay. So Sasha, I found you doing a tango search. I lived in Northern California, and the closest tango was 2.5 hours away. And this is shortly after separation, going through a divorce. And I always wanted to learn tango. My now ex-husband never wanted to. So Googled you, found your tango adventures, and then also your book, Quirkyalones, and I read that, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, this whole message. And then I went on an adventure Buenos Aires in 2018? No, 2019. And it was amazing. And we've done coaching and you've helped me so much. And when you posted this thing on self-compassion, I had to be here today and witness what you and to share and learn. So thank you so much.
So beautiful. So good. Candace was part of the last Tango Adventure group, which was a really special group. So good you're here. Okay, we have Theodora.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Theodora. I'm also in Queens, New York City. And I found this book around right when it came out, and I was a young person. And then I'm not sure if I still identify with the label, but it definitely, after going through a breakup this year, wanted to come see what everything was about. So thank you.
You're welcome. I think we haven't heard from Meg and Jamie, so we could just have quick check-ins from you. And then if there's anyone.
Oh, aloha. Can you hear me?
Oh.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I can't get the picture to work either. I've given up. Aloha, I'm Meg. I met Sasha. I read the book when it first came out. God knows how I found it, but I did. I met Sasha in San Francisco several years ago now. And I really resonated with the Instagram, Sasha, of the just that thing where you're like, you're not ready for a relationship. And being quirky alone and realizing that my field is small for dating and starting to get down on myself. So that's me.
Thank you for sharing that, Meg. And okay, Jamie.
Hey everyone, I am in Massachusetts. My friend Susanna, who is actually here by phone, she's the 919 number, gave me the link to this, and I'm excited to hear more. So yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Jamie, jumping into the unknown. And then, okay, Susanna, I think you are the last person.
Yeah, so people can hear me even though I'm doing phone?
Yep, we hear you.
Oh, good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that is good to know. My name is Susanna. I am in North Carolina. I'm in Pittsburgh, North Carolina. And my first experience with Quirkyalone was in a zine that I found in Powell's books when I was just a little 21-year-old. And Sasha, I'm not sure, just because it's been so many millions of years, if you initially published a zine, but somebody spoke about Quirkyalone in a zine. And so this was like back in 2000, 2001, 2002. And it really captured me, and it's been a really wonderful concept. It's been helpful on my life journey, and something that I've taken refuge in from time to time as I've kind of warbled my little path. But I'm excited to be here today, and yeah, thank you, everyone.
Fantastic. It's really fun to have everyone bring in these different aspects. I'm going to put it in speaker view now so you can see, or let's see. Come back to me. Why are you? I don't know why that's happening. I'm still figuring out Zoom. Okay, I got a little message about maybe there's a few people who are not aware of their mics. So, okay, so now for this portion, you can mute yourself. Oh, you didn't get to speak, Nicole. Is that true? Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's hear Nicole.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed that I.
No, I'm glad you told me. I asked, did I miss someone? So please introduce yourself. That's very important.
Aloha. I lived in Hawaii for a really long time. And Rainbow, I'm actually sort of in a similar situation where I had moved to Florida to take care of my father. Hope to move back to Hawaii soon or not. I don't know. I'm kind of a world traveler. Doesn't matter. I've been working with Sasha for a really short period of time. But I feel like I've known her for a really long period of time, which is kind of neat. I hope to be involved with Turned On Living coming this spring. And I'm like really excited. My name's pronounced Nicole, and I'm having like a ton of fun on this journey, and I'm super happy to be here. And it's really nice to see your face, Sasha, and everyone else on a Sunday afternoon. It's kind of cool.
It's really beautiful. And it certainly, you and Dawn are extremely valuable people here. So it was by no means personal that I didn't call your name. So I'm really, anybody else, shout your name out if there's someone else who didn't talk. So let's hear Dawn. Thank you, Nicole. So
I'm so excited to see you, Sasha. It's been years. We had some amazing tango experiences and, of course, beautiful conversations. And I'm hardly ever on Facebook. So when this popped up, I was like, divine timing, reconnection. So I'm super grateful to be here with you. And I got divorced 4 years ago. So now I am quirky alone. I'm grateful to be here with you, Sasha. Thanks.
Beautiful. So this affirms the value of putting everything on every social media platform because everybody finds it in a different way. So I'm so glad you're here. And yeah. Okay, so it sounds to me, okay, we had some chat about people muting themselves during this portion. So if you can just put yourself on mute for now, and we'll come back and have another conversation time after we do an experience together. So it sounds like it would be valuable to give a little introduction to what is Quirky Alone, because everyone is coming at this from a different place. Some who have been aware since 2000, when, yes, I first published this Quirky Alone essay in my own magazine to-do list, because I'm such an independent person. I didn't trust pitching it to a women's magazine. I wanted to do it like in a way that I felt was, if you're going to define a word, you want to have total control. So I pushed it out into the world by sending a copy of this magazine to Utne Reader. And this was back in the days when I'm honestly not sure if Utne Reader still exists, but they basically reprinted Quirky Alone. And that led to a lot of interest. And this was back in 2000, and I was getting tons of letters and emails and mixtapes, and I was getting letters from prisoners. I mean, it was really intense and amazing. And an agent contacted me, and she was a horrible person, but years later I had the right agent, and I sold this book, Quirky Alone, and we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Quirky Alone this month. So a Quirky Alone, now for those who are new to this, a Quirky Alone is a person or a way of thinking about life. It describes people who have the capacity to enjoy being single or spending time alone and do want to be in a relationship, and yet they don't want to settle. So that not settling aspect is really the essence of Quirky Alone, this desire to have a deep connection with someone and to really prefer to be single versus dating just for the sake of dating, or whatever it is, relationship for the sake of relationship. And of course, well, you can also be quirky together. So, we can sort of like get into a conversation of like, what does it mean to be quirky alone? You don't have to be single to be quirky alone. You definitely could be married and in a very long relationship and still identify as quirky alone, because really it's about being true to yourself. So I think that's just important to understand that. Like, I think, John, you mentioned, now I'm divorced, so I'm quirky alone. But in fact, anybody can be quirky alone, but of course, like, we feel that way. Now I'm quirky alone because I'm single and I'm more in that alone part. And then the quirky part refers to, well, you're not totally cookie cutter. And, it might take longer to find someone who is a match, whether you're poly or monogamous or whatever it is. It's like you just know that about yourself, that you click with certain people. And what that means in practice in real life is that you may be single for longer than other people, or that you want. You might be the only single person in your friend group or in your family. And it can lead to a lot of questioning and self-doubt. And I would say that the main problem that Quirkyalone has solved for people or addressed is that core question: is there something wrong with me? That was always what I heard from people who resonated from the very beginning back in 2000. It was like, oh my God, I thought I was the only one on the planet who felt this way, because you don't really hear about this from other people. Like, it's not talked about. And so, there's this deep sense of aloneness and shame and like, is there something wrong with me? And Meg referred to an Instagram post that I put up recently where I'm trying to be more frank, because being in this role of Quirkyalone like lady or creator over the years has somehow created this image that like, oh, I'm just happy being single or something, or she represents the happy single option. But it's not really like that. I mean, if you want something and you don't have it, there's also feelings that come along with that, and it can be quite difficult. And in that Instagram post, I described my experience recently. In the last 4 years since I moved back to the US, I've been quite intentional about wanting to find a life partner and build a relationship with someone. And it's been difficult. Like, I have gotten my heart broken a number of times by getting attached to people who, it just wasn't in them at this time to be in a relationship, and each story was different. But I found actually that the more I open myself to love and work at opening my heart through self-compassion, in a way more vulnerable I am to getting hurt too, because my heart is more open. And so all of this requires a lot of attention to our hearts to deal with the feeling of like, is there something wrong with me, and the inner critic voice, and all the pain that comes with, let's face it, dating is just not always a walk in the park. Like, and if you're going to open yourself up to dating, you're opening yourself up to the possibility of disappointment, hurt, and all of that. And we all know that. So especially during one of these breakups, I was in such a bad place that I opened a book. Like, have you ever had that book that's in your house that you just never look at? And you just like, and this one actually was written by a friend of mine. So so I never really got into it. And it's called the Self-Compassion Skills Workbook. It's a wonderful book. The exercise that we're going to do today is something I adapted from this book. And if you're part of the Turned on Living program, or if you work with me one-on-one, we go into the concepts and exercises in this book. I have 3 that I have really found to be the most beneficial for myself and in sharing with others. And today we're going to do one of them. But this is really a beautiful, very practical book that's based in Buddhist wisdom, and I recommend it to you. And if you do Turned on Living, we spend a whole month on it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to get a little bit more clear about what is a self-critical voice and what is a self-compassionate voice. And I want that we're going to kind of get into the interactive part now. So this is where I would love for you to pull out your journal or whatever you have to write. And we're going to do this together and sort of learn through the doing. Okay. So, I have this quote here that I thought was a good one to presence from Anne Lamott, who some of you may know as a great writer about writing. She has a book called Bird by Bird that a lot of writers read. So the quote is, "My mind is a neighborhood that I try not to go into alone." I love this quote because our minds can become very mean, especially to ourselves, and we may not even be aware that we're being self-critical. because it's just normal. Like we're just talking to ourselves in a certain way all the time and we start to think it's the truth. So what I want to ask you to do right now is to just think about some topic that has been giving you some self-criticism. It's probably not the biggest topic because we're just doing this together for an hour, but some medium level thing like my office is messy, or I ate junk food. You could do it about like I'm single at 50. You can choose a topic that's related to this quirky alone topic too. But anywhere in there. So just think for a second about what is your topic and then write it down. That makes sense to everyone? Okay, everybody, when you have something, raise your hand. Okay. I think most people have something. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do this exercise where we're writing this topic and we're going to do a short journaling exercise about it. And the first one is going to be in the self-critical voice. Now here I am asking you to spend the next 4 minutes, we're going to say, journaling and saying what you in your mind say to yourself about this topic in a critical way. And it's like what you're often telling yourself, and you're not trying to pretty it up. It's like really how you talk to yourself about this topic, and you're just going to journal about it and let it rip for 4 minutes. So does that make sense to everybody? Through doing this, we're going to talk about what are the qualities of a self-critical voice afterwards. But first, I want to just have everyone have this experience. So that makes sense to everybody? Any questions? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to time you for 4 minutes. So just let it rip, like all of the critical thoughts you have about this, about yourself. Okay, so just taking about a minute to wrap up wherever you are. Wherever you are is good. Okay. So coming back to us, I'm wondering if there may be two people who would be willing to share what their topic was and what it was like to journal this just a little bit, just a little sample of what that was like.
I would.
Okay, let's hear Oswald.
So I wrote about the fact that I'm single at age 38, and I just wrote about the fact that I don't have anything to offer anyone. I can barely adult, and oh yeah, I have cerebral palsy too. So I just want, like, it seems like I'm already like kind of damaged goods, and why would anyone want to take that on as a significant other?
Thank you for sharing that, Oswald. I think that's a feeling that a lot of us can relate to, and whatever thing we think makes us difficult or damaged in some way. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Adira, I saw your hand.
I wrote about the fact that I have very little emotional support in my life at age 54. Why is this such a persisting issue for me all these years? It's getting too late to do something about it. It may never change at this point. Sad state of affairs that I don't know what to do about. What makes me this way? I'm tired of this situation and disgusted with the people I attract continuously that take and drain me while I give and give.
Wow, thank you too. Yeah, I see hearts from other people. I really appreciate how everyone is just diving in and being so real. I really appreciate that. Does any one more person want to share? Okay, Karen.
So mine is, and like I'm so self-critical, like I'm going, oh my God, mine is so superficial in comparison to what you guys just shared. But in a way, it kind of shows like how my mind is constantly doing this. I had a dinner party for some people last night, and from can I get the food out hot? Do I have the right utensils? Am I going to have interesting enough conversation? Are people going to like my friend? It was just like one thing after another. And it's finally like, oh my God, I'm exhausted now. I didn't even have people over yet and I'm tired. So that was mine.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, let's hear one more because I think this is really interesting. If there's one more brave soul who wants to share. Meg? Oh, we're not hearing you.
I know. Hang on.
Maybe we should. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Now, yes.
You can? Okay. This honestly doing it on the phone is a pain in the ass. I just really got into myself. I'm 60 and I've been really alone a long time. I've had a couple of relationships and I just keep attracting an emotionally unavailable men. And I'm like, so this is me. There's something in me that's not right here. There's something dysfunctional in me. I'm a therapist. I've done 500 million tons of NLP and EFT and God knows what else. Am I ever going to get this? I don't think I am. It feels like I'm never going to get this. They all seem to be worse and worse. I'm like, thanks for the bloody, lesson. I'm sick of it, universe. And I feel like why didn't I see the red flag? What's wrong with me? Why didn't I pick that up sooner? Why did I write over that? Why didn't I set the boundary? And it's like, oh. So there's a lot of that there for me. And I think I feel like, I'm just slightly too difficult. I'm an HSP and I'm okay with that, but it's hard to stand up for myself. And so I end up feeling just, I think, quite defective in the end. I was really relating to what Oswald said as well. It was like, yeah, it just feels very, very like, well, am I ever going to get this? Probably not. It's very frustrating. And I think, sorry, I can't remember you, Adira, sorry, said something similar as well. And I'm feeling the same way.
This is so wonderful, and I really appreciate everyone being so frank and jumping in with, some of you know me, but you all know each other. So it's like Anne Lamott says, our mind is a dangerous place to go into alone, and that's why it's so good to have a space to be real and hear how other people are also struggling with these insecurities and fears and doubts, and that in itself alone, I think, can be really impactful for each of us today in some way, just to really let that in. I'm hearing, I can relate. These are also relatable. So I want to point out some qualities of the self-critical voice. And I want to just point out too, what I said before was that we don't even tag these things as self-critical because we're so used to them. Like, there is nothing creative about these thoughts that we've just had. These are thoughts that we've been having probably most of our whole lives, actually. And that's why this embarking on this project of self-compassion is such a turnaround. And it is a practice. And I'm not going to tell you that today everything is going to change, because science doesn't bear that out. But there is science that you can change this and you can turn it around, and it takes practice and relationship with self. And that's what we're going to enter into today as a starting point. So here's some qualities of the inner critic voice, and I'm offering these as a way, and you might want to write these down. I didn't make a fancy PowerPoint because I think people learn better when they write something down versus just sort of passively take it in. So if you want to, you can write these things down. This is a list that comes from this book, and it's sort of added with my own observations about the self-critical voice, the qualities of it. So the word wrong is likely to appear. There's this harshness to that word wrong even. And I think that as soon as we hear, did I do something wrong? Like, it's probably a self-critical voice there. Pointing the finger at yourself from doing something wrong. There's a blame, there's a heaviness, there's a harshness. It's repetitive and on autopilot, and it's probably not being recognized as critical. And it's not creative. The words come so easily and rush forward because they're just always there. Does anyone else have qualities that you want to note, like based on what we just heard from people?
I would like to say, I think it's just very inflexible, right? I think that's one of the things that I'm noticing, is that there's no flexibility in it.
There's no flexibility. It knows it's right. And we're going to see that the self-compassionate voice is more open to mystery. And we're going to explore that now. But the self-critical voice is right. Like, it knows.
It's a very black and white too. I think in that similar vein. Kind of all or nothing. You're so selfish, or you're too greedy, right? You want too much. It's very, there's no room for like, well, it might be this, right? So there's no color.
Yeah, or like in Meg's example, which I think a lot of us can relate to, like, it's your fault that you're picking these emotionally unavailable men. Like, it's definitely your fault. It's you. So yeah, there's a kind of, we know who's to blame here, and it's you.
For me, the word that comes to mind is default. It's like, I don't even, unless I'm very intentional with my thoughts, it's amazing how I realize, look how I just went there without even questioning it, I'm in that negative place. And it's a lot of work to first identify it, and then how am I going to turn that around? But it's my default go-to.
Can I curse for a second? It's like, it's almost like shit talking myself is easier than giving myself credit for being, for doing things that are good or the good qualities about me. It's so much easier to just shit talk and say I screwed that up versus, oh, I'm good at that. Yeah, do you know what like that kind of thing? I think that's sort of, for me, that's what it is.
Like an easy lift in a way. Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to be doing this segue. So maybe we can, if we have time, there was some physical movement I was going to teach you, but I'm going to teach it to you in a very quick way so we can do a physical reset, because we are literally stepping into a more creative space and we need to free our bodies a little bit to get into it, because if we just sit here, we're like ossifying into that pattern that we have. So I'm going to ask you to do this thing, which is called love scoops. And it's like literally giving yourself some love and support by taking the air and pulling it in toward yourself. And later I have this Spotify playlist, Love Scoop songs. You can do this to a song and really get into the feeling of like giving yourself resources. We're just doing this as a little wake me up right now. Okay, and now just kind of wiggle to be fresh and alive. And I am going to ask you now to come back to that same topic that you brought up and you just wrote the self-critical entry about. And this time we're going to do the self-compassionate voice. And this time, before you start, I'm going to give you some of the qualities of a self-compassionate voice, because this is the one that's harder. It's more creative. It's probably going to be different than the way that you usually talk to yourself about this topic. So these are some aspects that you might want to consider as you write, and you might want to jot these down. So first, it might take some effort to get into this self-compassionate voice, because it's going to be a shift. And so you're actually going to have to pause and really kind of feel into it. It recognizes your emotions. If you're disappointed, if you're sad, if you're frustrated, if you're angry, all of these things are welcome and they can be recognized and named. You're tired, whatever it is. The self-compassionate voice gives you time to feel your feelings before trying to change them into something else. Like if you're angry, you get to be angry. If you're sad, you get to be sad. If you're disappointed, you get to be disappointed. You don't have to force things to be anywhere other than where they are in a genuine way. It comes from a sweet, oh honey place. It might have terms of endearment in it, like sweetheart or pookie, like you're really talking to yourself, like that soft person in your life talks to you. It accepts that you're human and sometimes not so great things happen to all of us. And after you allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, there might be a positive reframe about what you're getting from this experience, but you don't have to force it. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And like we said before, the inner critic is really sure about what's going on. It's you and you fucked it up. And the self-compassionate voice is more open to the mystery and the unknown and how complicated life really is. So I don't want to tell you how you're going to write it, but I thought it would be useful to give those kind of pointers, because this is really stepping into a different place. So as you begin, you might even want to put your hand on your heart and take a few deep breaths and just really just feel the warmth of your heart. That is a real thing. And whatever you feel, if you feel nothing, that's okay. If you feel the heartbeat, that's okay. You are a person here among people who are being real. And then I'm just going to invite you to, when you feel it, put your hand down and take your pen and start stepping into this voice that is sweet and kind. And you can start with like honey or whatever you want to say to yourself. And yeah, write the message to yourself from this self-compassionate place. And it's just the beginning of it. And I'm going to give us 5 minutes for this because this one takes more stepping into. Okay, so we'll take about 1 minute more. So flow with wherever you are, and wherever you are is good. Okay, so let's come back to each other. And I want to say first that if you've never consciously tried to explore self-compassion or become more compassionate with yourself, congratulations. This is like a really good first step. And it's a path and it's a process. And, nobody could be expected to get into this in 5 minutes. And this book, which is really wonderful, I really recommend to everyone, describes how when we practice self-compassion in different ways, we're activating a different part of our brains called the care circuit. And so it really is an additive process, that the more that you practice self-compassion in different ways, and this is one way by journaling. Here comes someone. We're building up those neural pathways in the brain, and it really is a shift that happens over time and with practice. So I just want to presence that there's no pressure to have mastered this in 5 minutes. It would be completely impossible. And this is really stepping into a very personal experience that I think is different for each person, of generating unconditional love for yourself. And what does that feel like? This self-compassionate voice is the voice that's like, oh, honey, it's okay. So with that said, I would love to hear, does anyone feel brave to share what you came up with? Yeah. Adara?
Okay. I understand that your past relationships didn't yield what you desired, and you've encountered men who are not able to support or appreciate you the way you deserve. You are still a worthwhile person regardless, and you are allowed to step away from non-loving situations without fear, guilt, and sadness, as they carve the path to realizing situations that nurture and value you. Keep looking, don't settle, and enjoy the life you have in the interim. Peace.
How is that for you to read out loud?
That felt a lot better than the first call. Yeah, thank you.
Rainbow?
So my thing was about being 50 without kids or a partner. So almost 50. Okay, so mine was, baby, I see how sad and frustrated it can be to feel or be where you are. You've done so much inner work and put your heart out there with beloveds and little ones. And I see how your big heart and how, I so honor your big heart and how generously you share all of you with everyone. It hasn't been easy to bounce back from heartbreaks and home changes, and you're still open to love. Good job, honey. And I know you still wonder if there's even more inner work to do, and tired and frustrated at times with that, and waiting and wondering if maybe you should have settled so you could at least have your own child that your heart and soul so long and ache for. It's okay. We've got you. You'll always have love when you look for it and receive more. Maybe he's still getting himself ready to share your amazing life you've created. Maybe it won't be this lifetime. Maybe it just won't be. You're still so very loved and loving. Life is good, I promise. Even in the midst of pain and
this crazy storm that you're weathering with your mom and healthcare, this rainbow, you are always here. Love your higher self.
Wow. I see lots of hearts lighting up.
Nice to remember that part of me. I don't always take time to write it down. So thank you for this. It's really special. Thank you.
Lots of hearts. I felt my own. Yeah, Candace, that's so beautiful. Anybody else want to share? Meg. Don't hear you yet. I think, Meg, we don't hear you. You're muted. Okay, maybe we'll have someone else, and then we'll come back to you, Meg. Anybody else want to share? Rex.
So this is more of a question than really my own thoughts, because this is a new experience for me, and I was kind of unsure how to do it. But the first voice was the first exercise we did when we were working this more negative part of myself. It's just it was easy to find that voice, I would say. But then when I was doing the second voice, this more positive voice, I felt like my voice was kind of kidnapped by my mom's voice. I was always kind of like, this is my mom speaking to me. And it was awkward because I couldn't feel like, is this generally me or is this her telling me something? And it was very hard to distinguish these kind of two feelings. Like, it was almost like someone else was talking to me. And then I felt like, did I really find my own voice, or was it just this kind of, I don't know, imaginary mom voice that I had?
I think that, yeah, Dawn just said in the chat, learning to reparent ourselves. I think that's an interesting connection, because I think we can all, there's another way of experiencing this, which is on a feeling level. Because if I ask you, like, how did you feel with the self-critical voice? How did it feel in your body?
I think it was not a very default voice, but this voice that I feel when it's kind of I'm struggling with something, and it's a common voice, but not maybe the one that always is speaking. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, it's, for me, there's this harshness to the self-critical voice, and then it's so interesting that you said your mother's voice was supplanting your own voice. It makes me wonder, it makes me think your mother is probably a supportive influence in your life, or, I don't know. But really, this journey of finding the self-compassionate voice is learning how to mother yourself, which is one of the big journeys that we go through as we get older, to stop looking to our parents to validate us or lift us up, and learn how to be your own best friend, but also learn how to be your own mother or father, and both. And so it is a discovery. Like, the fact that it wasn't easy or immediate for you, if you've never done anything like that, I'm not surprised at all. And Rainbow, who is working as a life coach in many different arenas for 15 years, it flows for her because she's been working on this for a long time. So I would say just keep trying. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's 100% normal to find it strange the first time. And that's why it's really a journey. And some of the other practices in this book are more like sitting meditation. And if we had more time today, I would lead you through that too. But I wanted to focus on one thing. But it really is a matter of every day coming back to this differentiation of the different voices, noticing it, catching yourself. And then if you keep journaling like this, I'm pretty sure if you did it every day for a month, you would get into the voice more. Like, it is practice. Anybody else? Meg, can we hear you now? I'll ask to unmute you and see if it does something. Anyway.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, bloody thing. I'm at work, sorry, so I'm here, I'm in and out. I apologize. I just really want to be here. I was like, okay, so Jose was a bit of a disaster, but I didn't keep going with it. You know, in the past I would have just kept going back and kept trying and kept, trying to do everything to make it work. And I was just like, no, this is a load of shit. I'm not doing this. This is bullshit. This is no. And I actually walked away, which is kind of a big thing for me, because normally I just stay in there until the bitter death, and I didn't this time. Was it sad? Yeah, it was really sad, but I walked away. That was pretty big for me, so I felt really okay about that. And then I did attract it in, but I also walked away, and it also allowed me, I've got a housing situation and work, and I'm like, because it's been awful, it's allowing me to go in a new direction. I've actually got, thank you, I've actually got to a place where I'm like, okay, you got to make some different decisions, because I've just sort of been coasting along here, and I thought, well, okay, now I really do have to do some things differently. So this is perhaps not the way other people do self-compassion, but I am a New Zealander too, so we're a little bit more practical. So for me, it's like, okay, well, it allowed me to get my ass into gear and start going in the direction I actually want to be in. So because it's been so awful, so that kind of makes me feel better. It makes me feel like, yeah, okay, this is just a little, instead of going, oh, it's all a disaster, it's all horrible. I'm like, well, actually, this has allowed me to go into, push myself into a direction or make decisions about where I really want to be in this world. And Sasha had talked about coming back to the States to meet somebody in your own culture. And as a New Zealander, I struggle with that a little bit. Would this make a difference if I go home? And I'm getting there. So yeah, it was nice. Thank you. Sorry, it doesn't sound, but it was. I can feel a little shift in me. I can feel this. Yeah. It's just some good things are happening, even though it still looks like a bit of a disaster. It is good. So I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, when we have a longer time to, like, in Turned On Living, we spend a whole month on self-compassion, and we get to talk about what the energetics are of the self-critic versus the self-compassionate voice. And I think that we can all hear like a real difference in the way that it feels in your body as you listen to people read these things. And we have this myth in our culture that if you're hard on yourself and you find all your flaws so you can correct them, that's going to make things better, or that's going to help you. But it really is very disabling. Or even this idea of like, find out what's blocking you so you blah, blah, blah. But really what we all need is to develop this sort of kind, loving voice to ourselves. And it just feels so vastly different listening to each other, doesn't it? Or I'd love to hear, like, how do y'all respond to this? Karen?
So I've been working on this for a while. I teach yoga, but I also practice it a lot. So I've really come to understand that however I talk to myself on the mat is how I'm talking to myself all of the time. And instead of beating myself up, I call it the mean girl upstairs. And I'm like, hey, mean girl, I know you're doing what you do, and that's fine, but I'm not going to listen to you right now. And I really try to infuse a sense of humor into it, because it's really the best way for me to release and let go of it. So for me, it was kind of that, hey, mean girl upstairs, I know you're there. I'm not listening to you right now. What's the worst that can happen? I order pizza, and then where my sense of humor came into it, I was like, you know what? You're not a Michelin star chef. Like, your friends are not here for a 5-star meal. They're here because, and instead of it being like a Michelin star, I called it's the chic chick badge of approval. So I'm giving myself the chic chick badge of approval, and kind of just made me smile. And then it all kind of evaporates. And So yeah, I think people would think I'm psychotic if they knew what was going on in my head most of the time. So that was my
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I'm really just so grateful to everyone for being so transparent, and even your question, Rex, and the experiences, I know we can all relate to them. I think maybe we have time for like one or two more shares, and then after that I'm going to share about Turned On Living for anyone who's interested, because it's a natural, I mean, that's where we do work as a group. And what's really valuable in being a group is like that idea that it's dangerous to go into the neighborhood of your mind alone. And, most of my coaching practice has been working with people one-on-one, which is deeply valuable because you get a personal attention. But then there's just something really special about being in a group like this where people feel safe to be open and honest and seen. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But before we go into that, let's just like hear from a couple more people, because this feels like this can be really powerful in this moment. So is that your hand, Oswald?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oz, it's not the end of the world. There's more to life than the old chain of events of birth, school, work, and death. After years of other people defining who you are, you get to do so on your own terms. You're more than what you've already been. You can only be yourself.
Beautiful. I see lots of heads nodding and hearts. I think I saw your hand, Adam.
Yeah, I'd like to share, maybe coming from a little bit different perspective. All of you young people in your 50s, I'm to turn 70 this year. And I find that my place of inquiry is not so much about a love relationship partner. That would be great if that came along. But a work partner, to have a lot of passion for creating opportunities for people to get together and connect. And I have ideas of things, and it just seems overwhelming to do them by myself. And so in the writing, I wrote in here, hey man, why don't you just reach out and ask instead of blaming others for not showing up? By assuming the no before giving a clear ask, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Give yourself and others a chance. It's not about being old. Everyone your age is old. Find your self-worth within and look at all the ways others are willing and interested in connecting with you. And there was, and I'm writing this because I had a recent, within the last year, breakup with a facilitation partner, which was much harder than any of my romantic breakups, because it's like, I got to bring somebody in and train them to facilitate with me. So I'm just kind of owning that and hearing, it's like maybe, how am I not showing up for people who might want to be a love partner? And there's one other little piece that I wanted to share on this in terms of resource, because it came to my attention very recently. And this is a document, an 85-page document by the US Surgeon General on the epidemic of loneliness and isolation. And I think that as a quirky alone, I'm so comfortable with my alone time that I don't ever fall into the place of loneliness. But really acknowledging that that is a huge issue in our US culture, and I'm guessing global culture, and that it's gotten the attention of the Surgeon General. So I just wanted to share that part. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. I see hands. Yeah, it's so valuable to have these moments where we can be real and break through there's all kinds of loneliness, but there's the loneliness of feeling like you're the only one who's struggling in this way. And it's so good to have these moments to register and know that's not true. And yeah, just being seen and connecting can be so valuable. Well, let's see. So we're at 124, and I think that maybe let me just take a quick poll. Who wants to hear about turned on living? Because I'm sort of trying to balance how to close this part and then how to talk to you about turned on living. And I just kind of want to hear like what percentage of people want to hear about turned on living, where self-compassion gets developed over a year together in a group. So just raise your hand if you want to hear about it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so like 7 people or something like that. All right. I am in. Okay. So great. My brain is spontaneously working in this moment. Let's have then a very quick moment of closing this really sacred moment. Like, I'm really happy that we could all be here together today and share in this way. And so just one word to make yourself present of what you are taking from this moment. And then I'm going to share about turned on living and sort of how we go deeper in self-compassion through that experience. Adar, totally good. Okay, so Adara, yeah, you go just one word of what you're taking from today and then tag the next person.
Peace. And I would want to tag Steph.
Connection. And I will tag Dawn.
Kindness. Go ahead, Chris.
Connection. Oh, there's 2 Chris's.
Did they both say connection at once?
I was going to say community, but I think it's very similar to connection, so synonym. And I'll pick Dawn.
That was me that picked you, Chris.
You're playing ball.
Sorry, everybody. Okay, Adam, did you go?
Resolve, Karen.
Gratitude, Lori.
Ebullience, Candace.
How do we do this?
Your one word that you're taking from today.
Meg. You're muted.
Am I good now? Okay.
No, Meg, you're muted.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna call on Paula and we'll come back to Meg. What's your one word, Paula?
Well, it keeps changing because I have ADHD, and every time someone says a word, I think of a different word. I think right now I want to say my word is cuddly.
No.
Franny?
Curiosity.
And okay, Tina.
Inspiration.
Rainbow.
Like tenderness. I feel so much love for each of you. So thank you.
Jamie.
Gentle, and I'll pick Susanna.
And my word is ease.
And let's Chris Alston.
Connection.
Craig.
Authenticity.
Oswald?
Openness.
Stephanie?
Community again.
Oh, yeah, again. Lori?
Ebullience.
Ebullience. Ooh. And Thea?
Privilege.
Privilege. Nicole?
Empathy.
Empathy. Karen?
I went before, but I said gratitude.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Gratitude again. And Katie, I don't think we heard you.
Strength.
Strength. And Rex?
Pace.
What was it? Pace?
Pace.
Pace. Nice. Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for being so real. I thought it was going to be amazing, and it's always about the people, and I like to have something where everyone is contributing. So I really want to thank you for being so open. It creates all those feelings of the words that we just said. So I'm just going to talk about, I think I'm going to talk a little bit about this self-compassion journey and how it happens in Turned On Living for about 15 minutes, and also open for questions. So you can pop them in the chat or raise your hand. Karen? Are you trying to say something?
I think she has to leave.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Sorry, Sasha. I'll talk to you.
I have to go too, Sasha. Thank
Okay.
you so much, everybody. I had a wonderful time. You're all beautiful people. Thank you.
Yay. Okay. So I love that we're still here and that we have some men in the group, because Turned On Living has been so far conceived as a program for women because of pussy walking. But you know what's really interesting is I taught pussy walking in Bali, and I still have to edit the videos and get them out to you. And there was a man in the group said it was the best posture corrector and energetic lift for him, and he had read many books about posture, kind of like you, Craig, that I read all the books about being single, and he read all the books about posture, and pussy walking solved things for him that all those other books didn't. So, and really the journey of Turned On Living, which Turned On Living is basically about tuning into yourself and your own energy. It's about building your life force energy. And I was thinking about what are the 3 most important things in this program of Turned On Living. And every month has a theme, but there are some parts of it that just really recur. And I would say self-compassion is one of them, because as we kind of noticed today, when you're hard on yourself, your life force energy goes down. And it's very hard to make moves outside of your comfort zone without some attention to building self-compassion, because as soon as things don't go well, it's like wrong, bad, and then things get stuck, people get stuck. So self-compassion, anti-people pleasing. So this is about being true to yourself and not letting yourself down to please others, tends to be a very big theme in the year. And then this piece about body connection, in order to get clear about what it is that you really want in your life. And that sort of intersects with people pleasing too, because there are signals that we can feel in our bodies about what works for us and what doesn't work for us. And when we're more in tune with our bodies, research shows that we can regulate our emotions better and make better decisions. And the whole program, I would say, is really a program of getting in touch with yourself and your emotions and your feelings and pleasure, and making pleasure and fun also a priority. But it's interesting. I'm going through this process of talking with the women who were in the group for last year to understand what really changed for them. And I would say that the 2 things, self-compassion and anti-people pleasing, are really at the core of it, because when you are doing things for other people and to make them happy or censoring yourself in any way, also life force energy goes down. And this is the place where transformation really happens, like in real life, standing up for yourself, speaking for yourself, being truthful. The truth, the turn on is in the truth, I would say, is like is a way. It's like it's a program that sort of brings you into the truth of who you are and what you want. And it's in community with other people and having this support for each other over a year. So it's totally different. Like this is this amazing experience we had in an hour, or we can have a weekend retreat where we get to know each other. But being together for a whole year and stepping into the vision of what you want for your life, and I'm guiding the group, but equally the relationships between the people are really important. And so it's everyone has check-in buddies every month so that there's ways that connection is built in. We met in November here for a retreat in person, and it leads up to the soul commitment ceremony. So this is the part that basically no one in the group this past year would have expected to be doing a self-marriage or soul commitment ceremony, because it's quite outside the comfort zone for most people to do that. But it's something that can happen in a group where everyone has a shared mission and you support each other to do things that are outside the comfort zone. And I would say the essence of the soul commitment is it's really about like the anti-people pleasing thing of like, I will not let myself down and please someone else. I will like stand for myself and my own value. And like the vows that you write for that process are sort of symbolic of the whole year about how you want to treat yourself. So it's very much a co-creation, like almost like today was a co-creation, because I'm guiding the process, but it's really the individuals who are together relating to each other where we create something unique, I would say, like the whole time. So yeah, if anyone is interested, so yeah, here's the other details about it. February 14th on Quirkyalone Day, as some of you may know, it is Quirkyalone Day. So don't fret if you don't have a partner, because you also have Quirkyalone Day to celebrate. I'm going to Istanbul, and then I'm going to Bali for 2 months to focus on Wet, my memoir, where a lot of the ideas that are in Turned On Living are threaded through the story of Wet. And I've been working on that book for 12 years. And I am giving myself the gift of this time in Bali to focus on that manuscript while getting daily massages. Is basically the plan, because when I was in Bali, I was like, I think this is the right place to get this book into shape, because writing is super intense and gives some physical pleasure. So the program for this year is going to kick off in June as a result, because I'll be coming back here to the US in May. And I'm talking to people now to create the group. And then that gives time. Ooh, Dawn's going to, whoa, we're going to be in Bali at the same time. That's amazing. I am forming the group now because that's my personal schedule, but it also has a benefit for people that then you can get your ducks in a row, and there's a list of books. You can start reading them beforehand. And basically, if anyone is interested in this, I can send you a Google Doc where every month has a theme, and it's a journey that is progressive. Self-compassion happens in the beginning, and there's self-compassion practice the whole year, because when we talk about sexuality, when we talk about body stuff, when we talk about your vision for your life, the self-compassion is important the whole way through, because all of this stuff is shaking us out of homeostasis where we're comfortable, and we need to build in that kind of gentle, loving relationship with ourselves to support ourselves, to make change and to grow. So does anyone have questions? This is the first time I've sort of presented about this to a group, so I'm just kind of ad-libbing it. And yeah, questions are always good to flesh things out. I see like things happening in people's heads, but I can't quite tell what they are. The other thing is, I was thinking I could read you the months. That would give a kind of I'm going to pull it up on my computer. I really planned more about the class than this part. So I'm kind of creating this as I go along. So turned on living is, I would say, a philosophy about life. And each month has a theme. And so I'm going to read these to you. And you could just kind of like let each one sit with you. And, you know, whether you're going to be part of it or not, just think about like what is interesting to me about these themes. So here we go. I'm going to read it to you. Okay. We start in June with intentions for the group and ourselves for living a turned on life and pussy walking. So pussy walking is, as at least some of you know, this practice that I created of feminine empowerment. Oh, Craig has a question, but we'll go back to it. It's a practice of feminine empowerment, of connecting with the sexual energy that you have inside your body in the pelvic region. Now, as we said, men too can connect in this way. So this is like a new frontier of male pussy walking. And that's a practice that we do throughout the year because there's this real embodiment piece that we're not just talking about these things, but actually it's a group for behavior change, I would say. And part of that is how you walk through the world in your center and with pleasure. Okay, so then the second month, July, is self-compassion. So we go really deep into this topic of self-compassion and begin to practice it through different ways. One of them, what we did today, but other ways too. August is prioritizing pleasure. So really looking at what is pleasurable for us and how to have pleasure in everyday life. September is visioning. So that's getting clear about what you want for your life and saying it out loud and getting support from the group and taking steps toward that. And we also talk about fear because whenever we start talking about what we want, the fear voice is going to come up and tell us, no, bad things are going to happen. Stay where you are. October, anti-people pleasing month. This is where the rubber hits the road with acting differently in your life. So all of this is kind of internal until we get to anti-people pleasing month, because that involves other people. And this one is very interesting because it's actually being different with people and learning how to say no, and a very confrontational month, but very rich and good. November is embodiment. So this is about connecting with your body in a different way and from the inside out, and having pleasure in your body and what you can learn from appreciating your body as a gift, as opposed to that critical voice that's just looking at what it looks like from the outside. And really going deep in your relationship with your body. December is fun and play, coming back to the importance of fun and play for life. January is rest, which is huge because especially in the digital society, we need to learn how to rest and value our rest for our vitality. February is asking for what you want. So this is the speaking, like there's a lot of speaking, I would say, in this program as to others, making requests. This is what I want, and going into the risk of asking for it. Okay, March, soul commitment or self-marriage. So this is when we come together in a retreat and we co-create these ceremonies of self-commitment. So it was interesting. In the last year, people didn't feel comfortable with the word self-marriage, most of the people, because it had a feeling of like, well, what if I want to marry someone else? So everyone kind of gravitated around the language of soul commitment. It was really, really beautiful experience to have a group soul commitment ceremony. April is sensuality and sexuality. So now we've been together for a while and we're going into these more intimate topics about what is the role of sexuality and sensuality for life force energy. And I really teach this kind of approach that you can cultivate your sexuality and sensuality, whether you're in a relationship or not, and what kind of power does that give you in your own life. And finally, the last month is boldness. So like really looking for opportunities to be bold in your life. And it kind of brings everything together that we have done and gets everyone being bold. So I saw that there was one question that was a pretty simple one. How often does the group meet? So we meet 3 times a month and we choose the same time. So it's simple. So I think it's going to be Tuesdays at 4 p.m. And usually we go an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half. And yeah, there's discussion, but it's also very much like talking about doing things differently and sharing the experiences of doing things differently. Like the anti-people pleasing, for example. Any other questions? Now I'm looking at the group chat and see if there's anything there. Okay. So I'm talking to people now again because of those travel plans. So if anybody is interested, I'll probably send out an email after this and there'll be a link to a Google form. So if you're interested, you can fill that out and tell me, and I'll send you this Google Doc that has all the info. The group is very important. It's all about the people, and having the right mix that is really where people can feel safe and comfortable with each other, and people who want to be in a group. Like this is for people who want to be in a group, which is pretty, like there aren't that many groups. It's like hard to have a group that like supports each other consistently. How many people are you hoping to have? So I'm hoping to start out with 10 because honestly, always 2 people will drop out. Like I've managed to facilitated a lot of groups and it's just kind of how life is. So I think that 8 is sort of an ideal number. And my experience of running groups is like, yeah. So it's about like 4 are filled now. And they're great. Everyone in the last year's group was amazing. The people who are drawn to something like this are very supportive and open people. And I'm curating it like that. So anyway, there'll be like, I think 10 max to begin with. Intimate. Any other questions? For men and women, yeah, this is a really good question. So it has been conceptualized, and last year was just for women. And I'm just kind of sitting with the idea of like, what do you all think of a co-ed group for something like this? Because like I sort of got the feedback that women wanted to just be with women to feel, especially like with the topic of pussy walking or sexuality. Honestly, I think they're mostly topics that men would relate to too, because I notice like a lot of men come to me for issues that relate to people pleasing. Like it's not only women who deal with that. So yeah, I guess I'm curious. I think we only have one guy left here in this group, but I'm curious from both men and women, what do you think about a co-ed group?
From my perspective, I would say that all my friends are females, and I feel like all of these things that I deal with are very like what you would quote unquote would be things like you said, people pleasing and things that you might think of as women's issues, but I mean, depending on the, there's a lot of males that deal with that too. So that's my interest. Like that's my thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's interesting, like what is gained and what is lost from having a co-ed group, because something could be gained from that too, for sure. Any other thoughts from the women?
I think it just, if it's the right fit, then it can work. But as long as, they're in it for the right reasons and, a good communicator and contributes, I think it's kind of just like interview and make sure it seems like it's a good fit to, keep the space how you want to intend to create it.
So you wouldn't only want to be in something like this that was women only? Like you would be open to that?
Yeah, if Craig were there, it'd be okay.
You can tell about the energy about someone.
I appreciate that.
But I mean, like, I guess, what's there is like, well, maybe if there was somebody else, I wouldn't like vibe with the energy, and then I'd be like, no, thanks, not for me. So I think I get your hesitation, Sasha, that it's like, you don't want to open it up and then you can't, close it again. So it can be challenging in that way.
Yeah, it's always curated because like I'm interviewing everyone,
Right,
and
right.
it's a year that we're together. So I'm choosing pretty carefully because, that's that's being together for a while. But it is interesting about like, yeah, maybe sex or gender. Isn't it? I was mind blowing for me that this guy Rashad got so much from pussy walking in Bali. I was like, wow. And at the same time, it centers female anatomy. So it's very interesting because men are learning how to be in touch with their own energy by mapping female anatomy, because most of the world is the opposite. Like we're using men's bodies as the norm.
Mhm.
So it's quite interesting that way. Any other thoughts, questions, curiosities?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons. Some women definitely will feel safer with only having women. But I do think that having a male perspective is valuable as well, because I feel like in our world, there is such a divide or a separation, like this is masculine, this is feminine. And I feel like, I mean, we've talked about this before, is that, you know, all of these aspects are both parts of all of us. And so how can we learn to integrate um, and accept and honor both the masculine and the feminine, not only within ourselves, but within our partnerships or our relationships and out in the world in general, because there's been such a patriarchal perspective, way of ruling the world or running the world. And I think that that's a huge shift that's happening now. So
Yeah, and I would say, like, as I think about what this program is, I've been thinking like it's sort of an anti-patriarchal program. Like the patriarchy has this sort of emotional effect on us, which is shrinking, not feeling safe, not taking up space. And so it is kind of a year to untrain yourself from that and to take up space in a lot of different ways. Um, Oh, the love scooping was surprisingly an emotional experience. That's beautiful. So yeah, we do love scooping and turned on living. And yeah,
Is love scooping from that book, or did you invent that?
love scooping comes from Katie Hendricks, who she has this whole set of movements called the fear melters. And so there are different movements that are sort of prescribed for different kinds of fear, and the love scoops are one of them.
Thanks.
Such nice comments here. Katie says goodbye. Well, there was something else I was going to say. Oh, I'm just curious, for those who are still here, of the months that I read out about the themes of Turned on Living, which ones felt like the ones that are like you months, like that call to you?
Can you read the short list again?
Okay, I'll read it again. And yeah, you can just like write down which ones just call to your spirit. Okay, intentions and pussy walking, self-compassion, prioritizing pleasure, visioning, aka getting clear about what you want, anti-people pleasing month, embodiment and reconnecting with your body and sensuality, fun and play, rest, asking for what you want, soul commitment, sensuality and sexuality, and finally boldness. Tina says anti-people pleasing month.
I would say visioning, people pleasing, fun and play, and boldness.
Anti-people pleasing and soul commitment from Craig. Any other answers? I think we have Chris, Cynthia, Dawn. soul commitment, visioning, and boldness. Well, this was such a great moment. Oh, anti-people pleasing and boldness. Yeah, anti-people pleasing and boldness are quite connected. It's like, it really is quite a building experience over the year. And I feel very lucky that I get to go on this journey multiple times because I'm like, wow, I'm really getting better and better at being anti-people pleasing and bold. Okay, well, thank you all for being here. I am like, my heart is really full. And yeah, I will, if anybody is interested in this, you can let me know in response to an email or send me a message or whatever. And we just keep talking.